540 on KTSA, Jack Ricardi on San Antonio's News Talk station. Our next guest is running for mayor of San Antonio. 2 years ago, Denise Gutierrez-Homer ran in the City Council District 2 race and very nearly won it. Came very close in a race that was ultimately won by the incumbent, Jada Andrews Sullivan. Now, she's running in a very crowded field of mayoral candidates dominated by Mayor Ron Nierenberg and his repeat challenger from 2019, Greg Brockhouse. We have Denise Gutierrez-Homer on our KTSA Connecticut Quality Water Softeners newsmaker line right now. And welcome to the show. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Jack. Thank you so much for having me this afternoon. And I would like to say hello to all your listeners here in San Antonio.
Well, let me ask you, because the normal or natural, I guess, progression probably would have been to make another run in District 2 since you came so close. What made you decide to set your sights on the mayor's job instead?
Well, if your listeners understand the district that I ran in, it's District 2, which is actually the east side of San Antonio. We do have a very interesting status quo in this area, which actually has a lot of concerns for us currently with a lot of the issues and the upcoming ballots that we're going to be focused on with the proposal to fix SAPD, which actually started in my district. So understandably, it's a very hot environment in respect to a lot of issues, and I felt that it was necessary for me to focus on something that I can actually bring more attention to regarding the entire city. The fair representation of San Antonio needs to have a voice, and we have a concern right now because I definitely am backing the blue. I know that we have a lot of issues in our district, but it's actually increasing throughout San Antonio. So it's something that I addressed during my campaign 2 years ago regarding our crime and our gentrification, our property taxes. So this is something that everybody's facing right now. So why not just go ahead and make it something that I can use and address during this campaign as the next mayor of San Antonio?
How do you get – I want to get into some of the issues with you, but I'm interested. How do you get literally and figuratively onto the screen with Nierenberg and Brockhouse, and the media are going to focus so exclusively on them and the rematch aspect of it? What do you do to disrupt that?
Well, if some of your followers actually kind of check my Facebook, I had an opportunity this weekend to see and meet Nierenberg this weekend at a VFW post in my neighborhood downtown. And I had an opportunity to actually talk to him face-to-face and address the fact that I wanted to be at this debate, which actually I was included and invited to participate in as one of the three candidates, myself, Ron, and Greg, to be at the debate hosted by another media outlet. Unfortunately, he has decided he does not want to debate neither Greg nor myself. So I think I am really the issue for him. He already knows who Greg is, but he's well aware that I can actually go up against him and face him face-to-face and bring up those information and topics that we all want to know about and the failures that we have currently under his administration.
You mentioned that you think that the mayor may be more worried about you or more focused on you as a potential threat to his reelection. I think you may be onto something there in the sense of maybe people feeling like, well, I've already heard from these two guys. I want to see what else is out there. And I want to pick your brain a little bit because I noticed, I noticed on your website you have a real focus on the fact that you're coming out of a district where there has been a lot of crime and carnage. And here we have a city where people are talking about defunding the police under the guise of fixing them. But at the same time, our country is about to embark on another round of the gun control debate. What do you say to people that are being told, we don't trust the police and you shouldn't either, but we also don't trust you to privately own a gun and defend yourself with it?
Well, I think that's definitely something that we need to address because unfortunately here in San Antonio, we're getting our directions not from our current council and our mayor, but we're actually following the lead from our county officials, which if you understand the situation regarding our government, we should be listening to our state and the federal government. And we know that right now, currently, our state is taking an initiative to support our Second Amendment rights here in Texas. So the federal government wants to go ahead and violate our civil rights and our constitutional rights and our Second Amendment rights. We have actually started the process in the state level to protect our rights for our Second Amendment. And I believe they are going to address it by actually creating a new House bill where we're going to be a sanctuary state to protect our Second Amendment rights. And if we are successful, I hope that I have the opportunity to represent our citizens of San Antonio and follow that lead from our state officials, and not anybody else that might want to go ahead and take their progressive views about taking our protective rights, because we know that we have an increase of crime in San Antonio. We know we have issues with gangs. We know we have issues with the cartel coming into Texas. I'm well aware of that because I grew in an environment along the border. So I'm well aware of the MS-13. And we've had incidents during COVID-19 in these past couple of months and this year that we've actually seen a change in our crime in San Antonio. So we need to be prepared for this. I'm not saying we're going to become militia, but we just need to be able to protect our families, our home, and our businesses, because we know that we need to take that stand, and that's afforded by our constitutional rights. So as a woman, I think it's very promising to know that you have somebody of my state as being a woman and a woman of color, because I am a Latina, and I understand our need to protect our families. I mean, I'm a woman, and I'm going to protect my family.
Right. What about the city's response through CPS and SAWS to the deep freeze last month? Everybody, of course, now, we can all look back and say we should have done this, we should have done that, but where do you find the fault there?
Well, I think there's several opportunities to point fingers, but I'm looking at San Antonio. We should have been prepared. We had no emergency plans in San Antonio. We are known as a military city. Why did we fail to use our support system that we have with our military here in San Antonio? We're not talking about an emergency when we're talking about a dramatic change in weather. We're not talking about an emergency when we actually have an evacuation from a hurricane coming to San Antonio. We're talking about a possibility of being a target. If we actually were a target militarily, what happened here? I mean, why didn't our mayor pick up the phone and call our military? Because they actually serve in some capacity for emergencies. We have our reserves here in San Antonio. We could have called them and say, hey, we need backup. We need an emergency plan. We don't have generators. We need to make sure our hospitals are ready because we know that we have some emergencies happening throughout the area. We're evacuating some of our patients from one hospital to the next. And one thing I definitely understand that I am very concerned about, because I do have an idea about the medical situation, because I have a facility next to my practice that dealt with the fact that our SAWS did not have a generator to back up our water system. And if we know we have a grid for our emergencies, for some of our clinics and our facilities for our dialysis patients, why didn't we prepare for that? Why did we have our systems go down that desperately needed to have some of these patients serviced during this time? And we had a lot of failures there. So we need to look at our own home before we start looking at anybody else, because this is our home, and this is the people that we elected to office to make sure we were ready and prepared, and not wait because we make excuses, because we've already had something like this in the past, back in the 80s. So we had an example, and we should have used that to prepare for this, what happened a couple of weeks ago.
Certainly a lot more we can talk about, and I hope we can visit again soon to do that. For right now, though, let me just ask you real quick, how can people find out more about your campaign and your positions on things? Where would you have them go?
Well, I definitely have an opportunity for people to read up on some of the questions. I'm getting some direct questions from voters, so I'm actually having an opportunity to address them on my Facebook page. And you can go to Facebook, Denise Gutierrez-Homer for San Antonio Mayor. I do have a website of www.deniseforSAmayor.com. And please reach out to us. We're having opportunities to meet a lot of our neighbors and voters around San Antonio at different events. And we're actually offering a lot of different opportunities to come in to some of our events that we're planning. We have one coming up soon about property taxes. That's something I'm very concerned about with gentrification. So there's a lot of interesting background regarding my advocacy for San Antonio. So I believe your voters will be very interested in finding out more about me.
Well, we definitely will have you back. Denise Gutierrez-Homer, thank you for the time today. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful evening.
You as well. We're going to get a look here at KTSA Time Saver traffic, and